Welcome back, Wildcat Nation, to episode 4 of season 7. I'm Abby Harvey with Isaac Wolf, and today we will be spotlighting the men's basketball team. We'll be joined by junior Luke Brown and sophomore Marcus Ankney.
Brown transferred in last year from Stetson and sat out the entire season due to a knee injury. This season, he was named to the preseason All-Crossroads League team and is averaging 15.8 points per game while navigating a multitude of injuries. Ankney started 31 games as a freshman and continues to make a large impact this season as he is forced to guard the opposing team's best perimeter player every night.
Before we get started, here's your Crossroads League Week in Review.
I'm Isaac Wolf with your Crossroads League Week in Review. We begin in men's basketball with a stunning result in Lucky Arena on Saturday. After a 14-point loss at number 14 Grace on Wednesday, the Wildcats bounced back with a statement win over number 7 Bethel, beating the Pilots by 34, 94-60. Cademan Montrager was the driving force behind the win, scoring 25 points and swatting 7 shots. Griffin Cleaver added 20 points, going 8 for 8 from the free throw line. Every Wildcat scored as they held the Pilots' 2 active leading scorers, Trent Edwards and Luke McBride, to a combined 2 points on 1 for 12 shooting. The Pilots were without their true leading scorer, Alonis Pachulis, who injured his shoulder last week. However, the Wildcats were shorthanded themselves, dressing only 9 eligible players, as 6 players are dealing with a multitude of injuries. Nonetheless, with the win, the Wildcats find themselves now in the middle of the pack of the Crossroads League with 6 games left in conference play. Bethel falls into a tie for the top spot of the conference with Grace at 10-2 in conference play and 17-5 overall. The next game for the Wildcats will take place at Spring Arbor, while Bethel will play against St. Francis, who lost to number 19 Huntington 91-69 on Saturday. Landon Jordan put up 21 points and 8 rebounds, while Lane Sparks added 18 in the win. The Foresters held the Cougars to 37% from the field and just 16% from 3. The Foresters ventured to Mount Vernon on Wednesday. No Lily Frazier, no problem. In women's basketball, number 2 Indiana Wesleyan won both games without their star this week. Against Grace on Wednesday, the Wildcats struggled in the first half, leading by just 3, but they turned it on in the second half to win by 16, 59-43. Freshman Ellie Keller stepped into the starting point guard spot for the Wildcats in place of Frazier and put up 16 points, 6 rebounds, and 4 steals. It was a similar story in Saturday's game against Bethel as the Wildcats found themselves down 1 at the half before outscoring the Pilots 42-25 in the second half. Iowa had a balanced attack offensively and big contributions from the supporting cast as Izzy Reed hit 4 threes, Keller added 13 points and 8 assists, and Emily Mattingly scored 10 points as well. Their road does not get any easier as they go on the road to Spring Arbor on Wednesday and then host number 14 St. Francis on Saturday. The number 14 Cougars smacked Goshen on Wednesday before being upset at Huntington 80-77 in double overtime on Saturday. Despite Cassidy Crawford's 31-point and 11-rebound double-double, it was not enough to overcome the Foresters' balanced attack as all the starters did all the heavy lifting, scoring 79 of the team's 80 points. The Cougars host Bethel on Wednesday before the game at IWU on Saturday. In track, the IWU Midwest Classic took place this weekend on the campus of Indiana Wesleyan University. Some of our athletes of the week highlight what went on in Troyer Fieldhouse over the weekend, so let's get to it. The women's indoor track and field track athlete of the week is Noelle Vanderwall of Taylor. Vanderwall scored a win in the 3,000 meters and hit 2 qualifying marks for Taylor at the IWU Midwest Classic. Vanderwall's A standard in the 4x800 meter relay was the second fastest time in the NAIA this season, while her 3,000 meter time was also in the top 10. The women's indoor track and field athlete of the week is Lissy Snoffer of Mount Vernon Nazarene once again. She won the high jump for Mount Vernon and cleared 1.71 meters to top the field and automatically qualify for NAIA Nationals. The men's indoor track and field track athlete of the week is Zach Collins of Huntington. Collins posted the 5th best time in the NAIA this season in the 200 meters and the 7th best mark in the 400 meters at the SVSU Invitational. The senior picked up wins and NAIA A standards in each race. The men's indoor track and field athlete of the week is Christian Rios of Marion. Rios was back at it at the IWU Midwest Classic, anchoring Marion in the throwing events by winning the weight throw and taking 2nd in the shot put. Rios hit the NAIA B standard in each event. The women's basketball offensive and defensive player of the week is Abby McNally of Marion. McNally dominated the paint for number 15 Marion on both ends of the court in lopsided wins over Spring Arbor and Taylor. In addition to averaging 25 points per game, the junior added 13.5 rebounds, 5 blocks, and 3 assists per outing. The men's basketball offensive player of the week is Ian Scott of Grace. Scott was nearly flawless in number 12 Grace's victories against Indiana Wesleyan and Spring Arbor. The senior made 20 of 23 shots from the field and averaged 24.5 points, 7.5 rebounds, 5.5 assists, 1.5 steals, and 1.5 blocks per contest. The men's basketball defensive player of the week is Milton Gage of Mount Vernon Nazarene. Gage helped Mount Vernon to wins over Taylor and Goshen by picking up 4 steals against Taylor and 5 against Goshen. Along with averaging 4.5 steals per game, Gage helped Mount Vernon hold its foes to 72 points per game. The women's bowler of the week is Kayla Taffanelli of Spring Arbor. Taffanelli topped the field at the final Crossroads League bowling tournament of the regular season, helping Spring Arbor secure the Crossroads League championship. The The sophomore took first with a 220 average and 662 total pins. And the men's bowler of the week is Cody Hall of Spring Arbor. Hall had the hot hand for Spring Arbor in the fourth and final Crossroads League bowling tournament of the regular season, leading the field with 673 total pins. Hall's 224 scoring average helped Spring Arbor to a second-place team finish at the event. That's all for this week with your Crossroads League Week in Review. I'm Isaac Wolf.
So we'll start off with Saturday's win over Bethel. We were super short-handed. How did we, come out and play as well as we did?
Yeah, I think the coaches really challenged us the week coming up to the game. We had a rough one against Grace that we weren't satisfied with, and they really just challenged us to be competitive. And I think you saw a competitive edge from our group I wouldn't say for the first time all season, but since I've been on the court from injury and coming back, that was the first time I've really felt our competitive edge on the court. So I give credit to our coaches, but also to the players. Like you said, we were short-handed, but it was a really big win for us. But just that competitive edge is really what drove us to victory.
Yeah, to piggyback off that, we have played games where we've played with a competitive edge or a fight for 20 minutes or 35 minutes and not a full 40. And I think the coaches, like you said, challenged us, and we played with a fight with a competitive edge for 40 minutes. And I think that really showed who we can be and who we truly are with that competitive edge and fight for a full 40 instead of just half of the game, or we're spurts where we don't play well for 5 minutes. We're still fighting for those 5 minutes and being competitive. And even if we're not making shots, we're still going to get stops on defense or something like that. And that showed in the game on Saturday.
Was there a sense of urgency after the Grace performance on Wednesday to get this one back at home?
Yeah, I definitely felt it from our coaches. It's embarrassing to lose like that, especially when you prep for it and you're so high on it and want to win it. So I think there was a sense of urgency, and the coaches did a great job in our practices leading up to Saturday of making it super competitive, making it hard. So yeah, I think there was definitely a sense of urgency from our coaches, and they told us in that game on Saturday they were going to fight with us, which we really felt that as well, and I think that was a key to our win. But yeah, there was definitely a sense of urgency because we don't like losing to Grace. We don't like losing a conference game, but especially to Grace. So
yeah, I think there was also a sense of urgency just because of where we are right now. I mean, we're in the middle of the pack of the Crossroads League, and Beth was at the time at the top. I mean, they're tied for the top right now, but so I think if we showed what we can do to the top of the Crossroads League, it sends a message throughout the league, and also, it puts us in a good spot of having a top 10 win coming tournament time. So I think that was a sense of urgency of this needs to be a win.
What do you think the difference has been since that rough patch you guys have had, and then compared to these big 2 home wins you guys have had?
Yeah, I would say culture. We've been doing a lot of story times with our coaches, pulling clips from back in the day, or even watching some of our players that are on the team now a couple years ago. I think just getting back to the culture of IWU of celebrating others, playing for others, playing for your coaches. I think growing in relationship with each other too as well throughout the season. We have a lot of transfers. We have a lot of new guys, freshmen. So it's been hard to mesh, but I think the coaches have done a great job, and we've started to buy into it. So I would say getting back to the culture of IWU has really propelled us in this second half of the season.
Yeah, to piggyback off that, I mean, like you said, we had a bunch of new guys, and I think coaches have really emphasized spending time outside of practice together, whether it's we all get together at someone's house or wherever it is and just hang out or watch a football game or a basketball game, whatever it is, or just get dinner with a couple guys or shoot. We have shooting groups that we shoot every day with, and we bond in those times. And it's not just we go to practice together and then that's it. We spend time outside of basketball, and that's kind of like you said with the culture, that's kind of helped us grow in that aspect. And so that led to or it's leading to us becoming better friends, having more trust in each other in that aspect.
So we had big home win against Huntington, bad loss against Grace, big win against Bethel. How do we find consistency over these last 4 weeks and sort of build that tournament resume.
Yeah, I think that's what we're trying to find. Like, you've seen it the whole season. We started undefeated in non-conference, hit the conference, lost 2 games. Kind of we've been up and down. I really think it just comes down to like just gritty wins and being competitive. Just having Coach T talks about competitive stamina. It's just having that drive and that will to want to win. And I think that's really what it's going to take here on the road. We've got Spring Arbor on the road, and then we've got some home games coming up. But it's just we can't allow ourselves to ride the roller coaster up and down. Like, we have to be steady, and I think that comes from buying in with each other and into the culture, but also just having a competitive stamina that, just willing ourselves to win.
Yeah, and with that competitive stamina, I mean, it like during the game, it's really the full 40. Like, we might go through a 5-minute stretch where we're just struggling to score. Like, we may get a bucket or two, but it's how can we get out of that stretch, and how can we use this stretch to actually, stop the other team from scoring, or figure out what we need to do in the game, in the moment, to continue like battling, continue fighting. And so I think, like I said earlier, we saw that at Bethel, and I think Spring Arbor is a gritty team. Like, they're going to play slow. They're going to play they're going to use the whole shot clock, and I think we're going to have those stretches in this game, but it's how we bounce back, how we react, or how we respond to those stretches. And I think if we do in a way where we're still competitive, where we still have that competitive edge, I think good things will happen.
You guys didn't get here by accident, so how did you start out playing basketball?
I started out at like 4 or 5 years old. My dad had 2 little tyke schools in my basement, and every Saturday morning we would play full court to 100, and he would wait until it was like 99 to 98, and then he would beat me, and I would get so mad I'd start punching him and throwing stuff, and then I'd run upstairs. But I think that sparked my competitiveness and sparked wanting to get interested in basketball. So shout out my dad for that. I didn't like him at the time, but looking back on it, it was good for me. And then from there, just got into basketball, got into, YMCA leagues and stuff like that. But it was really just bonding with my dad and playing with him in the basement. He also taught me how to shoot the right way, all that type of stuff. But the competitive stuff was what was fun for me.
Yeah, I kind of have a similar story. I mean, I started playing basketball from the day I can remember. Like, I don't know when exactly I started, but I played I tried to play every sport, and I was fairly decent at all of them, but mainly baseball and football, and obviously basketball. But I was best at basketball, and so, I had an older brother, and he was really good at basketball as well, and so we would play, and he would just beat down on me, and so that kind of drove and I'd be so mad, I'd cry to my mom, I'd yell at, yeah, it was interesting. I didn't like my older brother at the time, but you look back and you're like, wow, thank you, right? Like, he made me better in a way that I never knew when I was younger. And so so then I was the best at basketball, so I picked that sport. I also enjoyed it the most, and so then I just played basketball, and I quit football and baseball, and then
kind of going along with that, what was your recruiting process like, and then how did you end up here? And then obviously you have a little bit of a different story. If you could share with us that.
Yeah. So my story is Indiana Wesleyan started recruiting me when I was sophomore, junior, in that kind of range of high school. And I had other schools recruiting me, mainly D2s, and I had some other, like Huntington was recruiting me, Grace was recruiting me, Marion was recruiting me. So some other NAIA schools, especially crossroad leagues. And I had low-level D1, but Indiana Wesleyan was my first offer, and I actually committed in August of my junior year that summer. So going into my senior year, I wanted to be committed to a team, so I didn't have to worry about how my performance was on the court. I wanted to just play for my teammates and just try to win, do anything I could to win. And so that helped me be free throughout my senior year. I mean, I really chose IWU just because obviously the winning aspect of basketball, like, you look at IWU as a conference, 3 national championships. They always wins 25 and above. And then another big aspect was the coaches. Like, the relationships that I had with the coaches here were so much different than what I had with other coaches I was talking to. They actually felt like they cared. They actually felt like they wanted to push me to my potential in basketball and not just basketball, but just in life, in my spiritual walk. And so I wanted that in a program, and I wanted that in a culture. And I knew Spencer Piercefield, who graduated when I was coming into a freshman or coming to be a freshman. And so he basically backed up everything that the coaches said to me. And so that was really a strong moment for me of just being confident in my decision. And obviously there was still some nerves and anxiety of like, did I make the right choice? But ultimately I know I did, just because of who I've met today and how the coaches have actually like built a relationship with me. And it's really just exciting to see, and I'm excited to grow still. So, yeah.
So with this being your third school, kind of talk to us about your journey getting here.
The recruiting process was crazy. It was all during COVID. So I was a late bloomer. I was always kind of smaller, undersized. So I was always hoping for that high major offer. So I went through the whole recruiting process kind of waiting and just never got it. I was, D1 or bust was my kind of mindset, which looking back on it was childish and stupid at times, but that's what I felt like I worked hard for, so that's what I was shooting for. I went to Stetson, had some struggles with some anxiety and depression, and I've struggled with obsessive compulsive disorder my whole life, so that brought me back home to Ball State. Entire staff got fired. I go back to Stetson, had a great year, love my teammates, love all those guys. I still talk to them to this day. But I just lost the love of the game when I was there, far away from home. It was just different. I wasn't enjoying the game. So I had built a really good relationship with the IWU coaches through my high school career, because I only grew up like 20 minutes from here. So, I was kind of thinking like, would I want to go back home? Would I want to play there? And, once I decided like I was going to leave, I knew IWU was the place for me. There were two things that the coaches had always told me, and it was, one, that if I came to IWU, the love of the game would come back for me. They talked about Evan Maxwell and how that happened to him when he went to Kansas and then came here. And then two, it was they were going to help me reach my full potential, not only as a basketball player, but as a person. And at that point, at that low in my life, I was like, having people that care about me as a person more than a basketball player, like that's what kind of sealed the deal for me. And obviously being closer to home, being close to my family played a huge part in it. But I love the decision I've made, especially now that I've gone through injuries and stuff and have been sidelined. Like having guys like Marcus and all my teammates and coaches around me, supporting me, like that's been huge for me.
And Marcus, you came in as a freshman and got some good playing time. Was there like some stress going into that, coming into a program this big and like playing decent amount as a freshman?
Yeah, for sure. There was definitely like a high standard, for sure. I just remember like my freshman year, a former coach, Coach Osborne, just told me, hey, whatever happens, just compete. Just give it your all. And so that's what I did. Unfortunately, some injuries happened, and then fortunately I was in the right place at the right time, almost like I stepped up. And I think what Coach Osborne stuck with me, and it was just whatever happens, and you go play as hard as you can. But yeah, there was definitely some stress and anxiety. I think the biggest thing was just talking with the coaches. Like they knew they were playing a freshman who, may not live up to the standard or may live up to the standard. And I think they took that pressure off of me and just said, hey, you're a good basketball player. Go play the way you know how to play. And so that led me to be free and just to continue to get that playing time. And I think that experience has helped me this year as well.
And Luke, you've obviously dealt with a lot of injuries. How do you stay kind of level-headed to get through it all?
Yeah, it's very difficult. It's like I've talked about. It's like riding a roller coaster. It's just up and down. But the coaches, my teammates, they do a great job of like, it's almost every day someone's asking me how I'm doing, and I'm playing right now, and it's like I'm still hurt, but like people are always checking in on me, asking me how I'm doing. Devotionals with Coach Clark, meeting with Coach T, like I can stay level-headed because of the support around me, which has been amazing. But yeah, it's all a credit to those guys. And my relationship with God has grown a ton, growing as a leader. And so that's been a blessing in this. And that also keeps me level-headed because, like I've talked about before, this is just a kid's game we get to play, and I'm fortunate enough to be playing it right now. I might get hurt tomorrow, but at the end of the day, it's about the people around you, and I've got great people around me, so that's helped me a ton.
Marcus, how have you seen Luke grow in his 2 years here, and kind of talk about his resiliency as well that goes with that?
Yeah, man, I don't know how he does it. Having those many injuries and he still comes in every day with a positive attitude. I mean, you can see him in the gym, get shots up, whatever it is. Like, he will fight until his body literally can't no more. And so that's one thing I admire about him. But, like, the other thing is just, like he said, his growth with the Lord. I mean, he's led, like, last year I would have never thought you would have led devotionals. And this year you've led a few, and you've took that leap. And I think it's cool to see for younger guys like myself, like, there can be that spiritual formation, and there can be that, growth that can be had. And so I think it's inspiring to see, like, you lead us into, like, especially when you're injured, like, it's hard to lead when you're injured because you just want to be on the sideline. You just want to be checked out. But no, you stayed with it, you stayed in it, and now you're playing a lot. So it's like those things pay off. And so that's really cool to see.
I'll share a story from last year. It was one of the really early practices of the season, and we had just a day where the court was wet. I think we came in after volleyball, and people were slipping and sliding so much. We moved to the other gym. There was one particular moment where you fell down, and this was my first impression of you because we were just a couple weeks into practice, but he slipped and fell, and he kind of had some choice words for us managers on the sideline, and it was I came up and talked to him after, but just to see your growth from that moment to now is truly incredible, and I'm really proud of you for the growth you've had of these last 2 years. I'm really happy you're here.
Yep.
So.
Well, that's what happens when you have the right people around you and stuff. For real, because, like, what does Coach T always say? You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink.
Yeah.
That's me. You get me around the right people, and so it's all credit to these guys for sure.
You guys have talked a lot about the coaches, and they harp on the I am third message. So what does that kind of mean as a program?
Yeah, so I am third is obviously God first, your other second, and then yourself third. And I think it's very applicable to your everyday life. I mean, I think that the coaches really try to, like, not just add it to basketball, but, like, it's your life, like putting God first. So that whatever that means. I mean, I could give many examples, but one is just no Bible, no breakfast. And I know that can just be easy, but waking up in the morning and you can't eat breakfast without getting in the Word, or whatever it is, saying a prayer or doing something to get your mind right with God, and then you can go eat your breakfast. I don't know if you want to say anything else on that. Or
Yeah, I would just say that since I've been in a lot of locker rooms and around a lot of coaches, it's cool to see your coaches have a motto and then live it and live by it. So it's easy for me to, like, want to do it when they've set a standard and they do it themselves. Like, I see them do it with us, with their kids, in the community. Just the way they live their lives, it makes it so much easier for us. So I applaud them for that, because I've had coaches who, they'll put stuff up on the wall and, all these slogans and stuff. And then when they don't live by it, it's hard for us as players to want to. So they do, so we do as well.
And it's become such, like, a big name. Obviously, the arena's being named after that. You'll be able to play in it, right?
Hopefully, yes. Hopefully, December.
What does that mean for just the program?
I think it's awesome. Like, being here now and seeing that Coach T's been here for 20-some years, and he's finally getting a gym and it's getting built, and we get to be a part of that and see that come to life is awesome. I won't get to play in it. I'm sure I'll come back and watch some games in it, but I like that they chose the I Am Third Arena. I know they could have gone with, the Mango Center or whatever they wanted to go with. But I liked the I Am Third Arena because it's what we stand for and it's our culture. So I think it was a perfect name and perfect fit, and I'm excited to see these guys get to play in it.
Yeah, hopefully I'll be able to play in it. But one other thing is just, like, when people, like, oh, I was playing at the I Am Third Arena, like, they're like, what is that? or like if they don't know, like what is that? So it's like also it spreads the word, like we are called to be disciples of Jesus, and so that is a way to, like, people are going to be intrigued of, oh, what is I am third, and it's God first, So it's a way to spread the gospel, and it's also just like Luke said, just a cool thing for Coach T. I mean, super happy for him at over 20 years. I know it's going to be there for a while.
This year's team is kind of in, or has been in, uncharted territory in the Coach T era. Talk a little bit about the struggles you guys went through at the start of conference play.
Yeah, it was embarrassing. I told the guys it was so hard for me because I'm in, then I'm out, I'm in, I'm out, been hurt. But it was embarrassing to be the team that is losing, and Coach T has a winning resume, and we're the team that's losing for him. But I think the coaches did a great job during this whole time of like showing us teams that won a national championship, and at one point they went on a 5-game losing streak, or lost to an unranked Goshen team when they were ranked number 1 in the country. So it really puts it into perspective that, we're not alone. We can win out and have a great year and make a run in the national tournament. I mean, you see it all the time at the NCAA level. Like, it's rarely the number 1 seed or the top dog that wins it. It's the team that gets clicking at the right time. So you just got to hope we get clicking at the right time, and I think we are.
Yeah, I mean, he kind of said it all for me. I mean, I don't even know, like, that's really what it is. I think it's hard to lose. Losing sucks, right? And so we all feel that. We're all frustrated, but I think, like, we saw it Saturday, we saw it last Saturday, we saw it this Saturday, like, there is another team that can perform the second half of the season. So and whether that's win or lose, I mean, I think the biggest purpose that we're all here is to grow closer with God in our relationships, and I think that's been the focus from the coaches, is to make sure that that's what their intent is, and then also just to fight for what the jersey or what the letters on their jersey mean. And so, because we know what the other teams have done in the past, and so we try to uphold that legacy, uphold that standard, and I think if we do it to the best of our abilities, we put our full effort in it, then it is what it is.
With such a roster overhaul this year, we brought in 7 new guys. How much did that play a part in just the team trying to figure out its chemistry during that stretch?
Yeah, it's difficult. It's difficult as well because I was out last year. Now you're adding me in to actually play. You have, guys from all walks of life all over the country. Like, IWU has been pretty good at like recruiting locally, Indiana guys or around the area, and we've got a totally different group, and I think it was difficult at the start. I think we had a great time in the Dominican. I talked to the coaches about this a lot. I think we went to our highest of highs in the Dominican of really growing with each other, and then you come back here and it's just like everyone goes their separate ways, which tends to happen. But I think like we said earlier, the coaches have done a great job of getting guys together and bringing us closer together. I'm having guys over, eating food, watching games and stuff. I don't think you know this yet, Mark, but we're having a Super Bowl party at my house. So
there we go.
If you had any other plans,
I might be there. Hey,
we're eating Raising Cane's.
Oh,
but yeah, just things like that. Having the guys over, you can really grow with each other. And we were talking about it against Bethel. Like, Jackson got in the game and had a really, really good game, but it's so easy to celebrate with him because I have such a connection with him. He's so intentional with relationships. So if you have 8 guys, 7, however many we have, we're all hurt, but 7 guys out there that'll in rotation, like if you love them and want to go to war with them, like that's when you'll win. And so I've seen that kind of spur over the last couple of weeks, which has been great.
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing for me was just the trust and the team bonding. And like you said, the Dominican really helped that. But then also, like, we went home and we did our own separate things. And I think so there was a level of trust that we didn't have. And I think we're still working on that. Like, we're still trying to figure out some things, and we're still trying to like trust each other to the full potential. And I think like I trust Luke just because I've known him for so long now. But then like some other guys, it's like, oh, what if, or like someone may not trust me as much. But I think with the hardships that we've had, it builds that trust even more when you see another guy work as hard as you, or you see something happen and they respond in a positive way. And so I think that building of trust is just going to keep us improving, and also just the level of friendships that we have. So it's cool to see how that bond has increased, but also it's difficult with those new the 7 guys, and it's just a complete different team than what we had last year.
You guys have mentioned, obviously, the low numbers on Saturday. Basically, like, the whole bench looks like they had black T-shirts on. So does that put a little pressure on you guys mentally and physically?
Yeah, it puts pressure on me because I'm hurting like every day, every game. You know, I want to be in at practice because we only have 7 guys. Like, how are you supposed to work on anything if you got 7 guys? So, yeah, it does a little bit, you know, but as a basketball player, it also frees you up because, you know, they can't really sub you out. Yeah. We only got 7 guys.
Yeah.
But it's been good. I'm just the type of guy where I'm trying to check in on the guys who are hurt because I know what it's like, and it's tough, and we want them out there with us. But yeah, it definitely adds a little bit of stress, at least on my end. I'm not in the greatest conditioning shape. I basically don't practice and just take as much ibuprofen before the game and just give it my all, and then go run on the boost machine. But yeah, it creates a little bit, but you know, I trust the 7 guys out there, and we'll get those guys back here soon.
Yeah, like you said, it's definitely physically taxing to play that many minutes a game, but it's also worth it. Like, those guys want to be out there, so I'm going to give it my all just for them, just for those guys, because they're up there. They're doing everything they can. They're doing scout. They're telling us the plays on the sideline. Like, I looked over, I don't know how many times on Saturday, asking for a play, or asking, like, if I don't know number 10, I'm like, can he shoot or not? Like, how do I guard him or something? And they'll give me an answer like that. So they're on top of things, and they're doing everything they can. So I'm going to do everything I can to get us a win, or to fight for those 40 minutes. And so I respect those guys. And like Luke said, I just want to respect them and just make sure that they know that they're going to be back out there, or they're still a part of this team. Like, don't check out. Like, make sure you're still in it. Make sure you're doing everything you can, and they are. So it's cool to see. Yeah.
Let's go back to the Dominican trip over the summer. Talk a little bit more in depth about the impact of that on the team.
A cool story for me was we were in the book of Acts, and it talks a lot about the Holy Spirit. And so we served in the Dominican, and then we went to like a resort for our last day. And I was eating with the guys, or they were playing music or something. Everybody was dancing, and I just felt convicted for some reason. And so I went up to my room, and I called my dad and talked to him for like 20 minutes. And I just got in the Word and started reading for some reason. And I read for like 30 minutes. And then the next day when I woke up, at that exact time when I was feeling stirred by the Holy Spirit, Isaac Andrews, our freshman, was on his hands and knees, like bawling, crying with Jackson because he wanted to get saved. So then we ended up baptizing him in the Dominican, and it was just awesome. But like, that was the type of stuff in the Dominican. Like, yes, it was hard. I got bit by bugs. I was bleeding in my bed, sweating. Our shower didn't work. Like, it was hard, but like, that type of stuff, like, I tell people so much, like, if you have the opportunity to do it, you should do it, because it really meant a lot for me. And then as a team, like, no phones, you have to be connected, you have to talk to each other. I learned everybody's life story on the bus rides, and so it was a great trip, and I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, to piggyback off that, man, the thing that stuck out for me was just all the stories that I heard. Obviously, we were a very new team at this point, 7 or 8 new guys, and most of them came up and just told their life story, and that was it. I mean, it was cool to see who they were, where they're from, where they're at in their journey with Christ, and it was cool. Obviously, like, the Isaac moment was just so special to see. Obviously, that's the highlight of the trip, but also, like, just the team bonding that we had through. Like, I remember it was me, you, and DJ and Griff spinning the barrel. We were shoveling dirt and gravel and making concrete, and it was like, what are we doing? We were in 97 degrees weather, and it was just like, but we're doing it for a purpose. We're doing it for little kids that can play on a volleyball court, basketball court, whatever it was. And it was just, at the time, it was like hard, but then also just fun with these guys. Like, we were making memories and that I'll never forget. And then we're also just, we're just battling together. It's just like being on a basketball court. Like, we're going through some tough times, and but we got the job done, and it was cool to see. Like, no one on our team quit. No one on our team just like gave up and was like, "Oh, it's too hot," or "Oh, I don't want to do this." Like, it was cool to see that level of like it was such a different environment, and so yeah.
Yeah, two other reasons it was awesome was because, one, as a basketball player, I never get outside, so I got a tan, which was awesome. And then two, me, Marcus, Jackson, and Griff got to go golf.
Yes.
Yeah, so that was a ton of fun. We had two little caddies like running out there in the fairway, like
Go like this.
giving me the worst reads on a putt ever, and I'm like, this is not breaking to the right. But no, that was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
What do you guys think has been your biggest kind of area of spiritual growth since you've been at IWU?
Not reading the Bible or not doing things for a checklist, checking things off. Like, yes, I read my Bible today, check, or I read my devotional, but like growing in a relationship with God, I think has been really cool for me to unravel. I think it's really started this year for me since I've been hurt and I'm playing. Like, it was so easy for me to check out last year, knowing I was out for the whole year. I was frustrated, but being hurt now and being in the fight with the guys, like, my mind's got to be right. And so just learning how, reading Coach Clark's book, praying on offense, learning how to pray, just spending time with God and growing in relation, because, you know, sometimes I forget we serve a God who loves me more than my own dad does or my own mom, and I can't even understand that. So it's like really just growing in relation with him rather than just reading the Bible or reading a devotional to feel better about myself. And then also the coach's kind of statement for me this year was growing with others. So I think that's helped me as well with growing in God and being able to grow in others and kind of pour into the freshmen and the younger guys. So that's been some ways that I feel like I've grown.
Yeah, for me, I think it's easy to be comfortable, and it's not easy to be uncomfortable. And I think, like, yeah, I read my Bible, yeah, I pray, or I do no Bible, no breakfast. But like this year, I've been focusing on, I've tried to been focusing on like my relationship with others, but not just like a hey, how you doing type of relationship, like a real intentional relationship with someone on the team, like having deep conversations, getting to know them, getting to know their spiritual walk, and then just reading the Bible together, whatever that is, or praying together. And I think I'm still growing in that area because that's uncomfortable for me. Just talking about that type of stuff and learning more things, like about the Bible or about praying or whatever it may be. But that's how I've grown, and I think that's helped me to be a better leader on the court and off the court.
For the rest of this season, with all the guys in and out and not really knowing who's going to play on a nightly basis, how do you guys keep the focus of playing hard every game and finishing our conference schedule out with hopes of building a tournament resume to make the national tournament?
Yeah, I think back to my kind of story and the injuries and stuff. Like, if I had these injuries, these knee injuries that I have right now at any other program, I would not be playing right now. Like, that's how bad I hurt, how like it's every day a pain. But like, I love the coaches so much and I love my teammates so much. Like, that's why I want to play. So if we just have that collective will of like, we want to win for the guy next to us. We talk about junkyards all the time, the stuff we do in the summer where it's just a bunch of workouts and it's super hard, but like everyone's encouraging each other. You're picking somebody up. Like, you can only get through it with the guys around you. And that's what we have to do at the end of this season. Like, we got to rely on everybody and we got to have trust in everybody and just keep fighting and pick everybody up along the way.
Yeah, with that, I think it starts with practice. I think there can't be a day off, like, especially where we are. Like, we have to have a good practice every day. We have to have a competitive practice where we are going balls to the wall, no matter what, no matter who's in, no matter who's out. And I think like today we had a great practice. It was short, but we went hard. We went hard for how long it was. But I think those types of practices can build confidence and can build that fight that will last like a whole game. So I think a big thing is practice and just coming every day, having competitive games, drills, whatever it is, one-on-one, whatever it may be, but just being competitive in the practices that we have.
So now that we're heading into the second half of conference, do you guys have any like pregame like things you have to do every single game?
Yeah, so so like if we play like Saturdays, if we're home, so I'll wake up, go to walkthrough, or like eat like a granola bar, go to walkthrough. I think it's gonna sound so stupid, but I like to get my mind off the things. So like we'll go to walkthrough, shoot, whatever, eat a pregame meal at like 12, and then I'll go back to my room and just play video games. I think it's just it gets my head off things, and I don't play for long, maybe 30 minutes, an hour. But that's just one thing that I like to do, and I think I've done it my whole high school career. It gets my mind off things, gets me relaxed. I don't take them too seriously, so I don't throw my controller at the TV. But yeah, it's just fun. I mean, that's what I do, and then obviously there's a time to get locked in right after, and so I get 2.5 hours to lock in. So, but yeah, then I go to the game and taped and stretch and pregame warm up. So that's yeah.
For away games, do you play video
away
games?
No. Away games, I usually just do my regular routine. Like I put on good music that I listen to every game day, and so but yeah, I don't really have anything special that I do. I'm kind of just blunt and like just going and playing basketball games. Like I put on my jersey and then I go. Yeah.
Yeah, for me, the night before I have to take a certain amount of milligrams of ibuprofen before I go to sleep. And then I wake up in the morning. I like to read. I'm in the book of Proverbs right now, so that's been my Saturday. So Proverbs and then my devotional. I get to the gym early. Before walkthrough, I have to stretch, use the Theragun for my legs, and then like massage my legs just to get ready for walkthrough. I usually shoot before walkthrough, then we have walkthrough. I go straight back home and take like the hottest bath that I possibly can to get my knees like warmed up. And then from there, I'll go back to the gym. I don't warm up with the team anymore because I can't be on my legs that long. So I put hot packs on my knees in the training room. I'll go out with the guys just to be out there with them while they're doing their stuff. And I just stretch and then take some more milligrams of ibuprofen and get ready for the game.
Is there one artist you guys listen to before every game that gets you fired up to play?
Future.
I was gonna say Future or Lil Baby.
Yeah, I usually listen to Future. Sometimes I'm in a country mood though, so I'll go Morgan Wallen or Luke Combs, but usually I like playing Future.
But how does that hype you up for a game?
It's like your Call of Duty. It just settles me in a little.
Okay, that's fair. That's a fair answer. Yeah.
If you guys had to pick one memory from your time at IWU so far, what would it be your favorite?
I think it was, I don't know what the date was, but it was our round of 32, I guess would it be, where we beat I don't know what team it was, I forget, but it was home, and we knew that we were going to Kansas City for the national tournament, and so that locker room was just so electric. I think the football players came in, and that was probably the best memory, knowing that we were going to go to Kansas City. We didn't have to be in school. And so that's probably one of the best memories I have. And I have plenty, but yeah, that was probably the most excited I've ever been here at IWU.
Yeah, just some of my favorite memories were with Chili, Nathan Childress. We came from like similar backgrounds of being at public Division I schools and then coming here. So just having raw, authentic conversations with him was cool. Going over his house, playing cards. He was a lot of fun, and he was just a character. Like he was every personality put in one. So it was just fun to hang out with him. So those were some of my best memories.
Well, that's all.
Perfect.
Good luck with all the
Marcus
games.
Ankney for Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah.
Thanks, Wildcat Nation, for tuning in to episode 4 with IU men's basketball Luke Brown and Marcus Ankney. Be sure to tune in next week as we'll spotlight the undefeated women's basketball team. I'm Abby Harvey with Isaac Wolf here on Wildcat Week, presented by Amplify Media.